Good morrow, scholars. Welcome again to Witch and Wizard by James Patterson and Gabriella Charbonnet. I was gonna say something, but I can't remember what it was. It's been a long time. Thank you guys for not leaving, I suppose. I'm sorry. I was in a very ironically dark place at the time. I'm feeling a lot better now. Honestly, I kind of felt like I should have started up again last week, but I thought, why risk it? Anyway, we're on chapter 35, Wisty, page 103. That's what I forgot to do in Shiver. I didn't say the page number. Oh, real quick, the bookmark for this one is this here. It's got my name on it. It was a thank you letter from my friend Jessica for buying some stuff with Lip Sense. No sponsorship. She's the girl I like, in case you didn't already know. I dipped the toothbrush in the gray watered toilet and scrubbed another inch of floor. That was a terrible segue. I was singing as if I had lost my mind, and I probably had. I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. By this time I'd been through every single good song I could remember the lyrics to, and believe me, there are a lot, and now I was at the very bottom of the barrel, reaching back to preschool days. I used to be the ultimate karaoke queen, because I grew up with my parents always playing all kinds of music at our house. Old stuff, new stuff, classical, blues, jazz, rock, pop, and yeah, even hip-hop. I'm talking everything from Toaster Face. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I've noticed that like everything topical is just kind of tweaked slightly to avoid, I guess, a lawsuit, but still leave you enough with knowing who that is. I don't know who that is. Ron Sayer. I don't know. And Lazy. I know that one. Although, admittedly, I wouldn't be able to pick out his music or what he looks like, but I know who that's a reference to. Anyway, that's how freaking cool my parents are. That fleeting, bittersweet thought of my mom and dad got me out of the scrubbing groove, and I had to belt out the song even louder to reboot. Clearly, Wit wasn't interested in listening. So, the visitor seems afraid of fire, Wit said, leaning against the wall for a work break. Yeah, Whitford, most people don't freak out when somebody suddenly bursts into flames, I said, rolling my eyes. What a wuss that visitor is. We're a witch and a wizard. What does that even mean? Whit continued. It's been a long time since I've read any fairy tales. I couldn't even tell you what witches and wizards are supposed to do. Except, shouldn't we at least be able to do things on purpose, instead of all the stuff we have no control over? I know. If I had a dime for every alakazam I've done where nothing happened, I'd be able to buy a brand new wardrobe with a cute, purse-sized... That hurt my ear. Do you guys get that alert also? I would imagine so. I've seen other people where that happens. Anyway. With a cute purse-sized dog to match every outfit. I paused, my arm aching. Wait, I take that back. I don't even want that. I want... Wit interrupted my reverie. There has to be a point. His voice was clipped by a strangled gulp. I jumped to my feet. Wit was staring at his arm. So was I. His hand had sunk right into the wall. Not sunk like he'd busted his fist through the cement, more like sunk. I don't know, the molecules that made up the wall had rearranged themselves around his hand. Can you take your hand out? I asked. Please try. A concerned look crossed my brother's face, but he removed his hand without any obvious pain or resistance. We both examined it, same old hand, then he put it against the wall and gently pushed again. The hand sank in several inches, its outline blurring beneath the wall molecules. I can only go in up to my elbow, he reported. After that, the wall sort of firms up again. I shook my head. Totally bizarre. But useful? Not so much. Not unless you can go all the way through. For heaven's sake, don't put your head in there, I said. Whit's muffled voice came next. He had stuck his head in the wall. You won't believe this, his words were garbled. Total mind blower. I guess it would have made more sense if I'd gone like that to get the effect. Anyway, chapter 36. Wait. 106. I blinked, like whoever blinks first loses. Huh? I don't know. I could see a total shadow world. It looked like a whole other dimension, another reality. Everything was black, or gray, or tinged with glowy green. I could make out fuzzy shapes moving in staticky snippets of distorted conversation. It was kind of like watching a horror movie on an old TV with incredibly bad reception. Wisty had started pulling on my shirt from the other side of the wall. I could barely hear her voice, which freaked me out in and of itself. Some of the shadows were getting clearer because they were coming closer, which I didn't particularly appreciate so much. Just stay where you are, I tried to say, but my voice was lost. Then one of the shadow people turned toward me anyway, like it could hear. It sure looked like a human form. Then the mouth opened, nothing but a shapeless splotch in a dark shadow world. If the figure was saying something, I couldn't understand. Slowly it approached, cautiously. Then I distinctly heard the words, "Is someone there?" As I watched in awed silence, the shadow's face became clearer and more detailed until I screamed. It was Celia, and this time it wasn't a dream. Chapter 37. Wait. 108. Celia, I called out, but my throat felt raw and my voice seemed to get snatched away from me again, not to mention that my knees had begun to knock. Celia froze, looking all around like she didn't see me standing right there a few feet away from her. Celia, it's me, Whit. I can see you. I'm here, wherever this is. Suddenly her eyes locked on mine. She blinked a second time, then stepped back in surprise. It's me. I'm really here. You said we'd meet again. For real. On the other side, Wisty was calling my name, yelling for me to come back, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from Celia. Her skin seemed even paler than in my dreams, but her eyes still shone, spoke the truth to me, and she was as beautiful as ever, maybe even more beautiful. She had this inner light. Whit? She licked her lips, a familiar nervous habit of hers, and finally came closer. Whit, I can see you now. How did you... Where are you? I think I mentioned this in a prior video where something is mentioned, like a nervous tic, or really just any habit is mentioned. I either see it or I read it and I have to do it, so give me a second. I don't know what it is, I have to. Like, I do that because of Hero from Heroes. Do you guys remember that show? Anyway. Where was I? Believe it or not, I'm in the bathroom of a cell in a mental hospital, I said, my words spinning away from me. I felt like I had to reach out to her. Maybe I could pull Celia back with me. Why would you do that? Anyway. But where are you? Celia gave me the honest look, and a cold hand grabbed at my heart. Wait, she whispered urgently. You have to go right now. You shouldn't be here. It's dangerous. Why? I burst out. I'm sorry, Celia began, but I have to tell you what really happened to me. Then her voice broke, and she started to cry. What? Sorry. Where was I? I completely blanked on where I was. I'm sorry, Celia began, but I have to tell you what really happened to me. I think I read that. Then her voice broke, and she started to cry. They murdered me. They said it was because of you and your sister. It happened at the hospital, Whit. The New Order and the one who is the One. He's behind this. He's so awful. So powerful. I was crying now, too. My body was shaking and numb at the extremities. I see you. You said we'd meet, and you were here with me. You're not dead, Celia. Don't come here again, Wit, she warned. This is the Shadowland. It's a place for spirits. That's what I am now. I'm a ghost. I'm sad. Chapter 38. Wit. 110. Wit, come back here this second. Whitford. Suddenly I felt Wisty's wiry arms loop really tight around my waist. Wisty, no. I tried to push her off, but she'd always been like a limpet, I don't know, able to cling and strong. I could feel her brace her feet against the wall, and then she pulled as hard as she could, even as I fought against her. Either I wasn't as strong as I used to be, or Wisty was stronger than ever. She yanked me out of the wall, away from Celia, and we both flew across the room. We hit hard against the opposite wall. We got ourselves untangled, but I rushed back to the wall like somebody possessed. Wait, no, Wisty yelled. No, no, Wit, please. Celia, I screamed, my lips pressed against the cool surface. Come back. I pushed at the wall, pounded it. I tried to put my fist through. I couldn't get inside again. Finally, I gave up and broke down. Wisty just stared at me with both hands clasped on top of her head. She had every reason to believe I'd gone over the edge for good. Wisty. I saw Celia. What? She stared blankly in the wall. I told her everything that I'd seen, everything Celia had said. How she'd been killed because of us. How she was a ghost now. Wisty was speechless as she tried to process the next unbelievable twist in our lives. I had seen and talked to a ghost. Then I heard the sound of the door to our cell being unlocked. Chapter 39. Wisty. 112. The matron barged in and informed us we were going to see Judge Ezekiel Unger, of all people. Maybe there had been a mistake, and we weren't the witch and wizard. Our parents had interceded somehow. Whatever it was, something major had happened. Maybe we were going to get a sliver of our humanity back. After a not-so-tender goodbye from the matron came a fast ride in a grungy van that had the coppery smell of blood. I can smell it. I don't like it. I'm fidgeting a lot right now. I don't know why. Are you guys familiar with The Flash? I know I've mentioned it before, but I think with my hair getting as long as it is, now I kind of look like Cisco's cousin. You know, I look enough like him. Anyway, I'm just fat. Anyway. Where was I? And maybe the scent of something that very scared animals do. Oh. Ew. You're shivering, said Wit. He gently kissed the top of my head. The fact is that we had always loved each other, but we'd quarreled over the most petty and ridiculous things. No more. Life, as the wiser than you might think saying goes, is too short. Plus, it seems so obvious to me now. Wit was a great brother. I wished it wouldn't have taken a New Order hellhole to prove that one to me. Did you guys ever watch Monk? There was an episode where Monk was forced, I forget how and why, into a porta potty. And when he came out, he was horrified, and that's all he could say. Anyway, the van screeched to a stop, and we were yanked outside. We entered a tall building where were suddenly surrounded by stark, monochromatic New Order normalcy. I was going to say normality. Bright lights and a court hallway, regular-looking New Order people wearing neat, boring New Order clothes, cell phones ringing with the same pre-programmed single-note tones, pictures of the one who is the one were everywhere, and black on red no signs were on the walls. It made our prison days and nights seem just a little more bearable. At least we'd been missing this stuff. Wade put his face close to mine and he whispered, "If we get a chance, we run. We join hands and run. Don't look back, no matter what." A guard threw open the ornately carved door, and we were back in that awful courtroom. And there was Judge Ezekiel Unger, looking like Death's first and favorite cousin. The one who judges, announced the simpering New Order lackey. As if maybe we'd forgotten what the big creep looked like. This time there was no hating jury, no mocking audience, just the one who judges, the armed guards, and the visitor. I groaned to myself when I saw him. He'd probably brought us up on charges for improper toilet cleaning or pail spilling in the hallway of Mad Dogs. Judge Unger was reading a thick report, sparing only a quick, disgusted glance at us before turning another page and reading on. Wisteria all good? The judge said at last, raising his lifeless eyes to me. Whitford all good. Somehow he managed to make the word good in our name sound like evil itself. I trust you are enjoying your stay at the hospital. Fantastic, I said. Couldn't resist. 5 stars. I probably would have done the same thing. I have here your medical reports, he went on, ignoring me completely, waving the thick document as if it weighed nothing at all. His eyes were lasered on us. Your tests have come back normal. Every single test. My heart gave a little leap. Thank the Lord. This had all been a terrible, terrible mistake. Now we would be returned to our parents and go home. The nightmare was finally over. I want to know right this instant, the judge continued, whom you bribed. Was it him? Was it the visitor? I suspect it was him. Chapter 40. Whisty. Bribed? Wit choked out, and I thought the top of his head might blow off and start spinning around. At this point, I could honestly say stranger things have happened. The visitor? I said. You've got nothing to fear there. Trust me, he's a loyal and worthy sadist. Of course you bribed someone, the judge yelled. Normal? You're the farthest thing from normal there is. Depraved is not normal. Deceitful is not normal. Dangerous to society is not normal. Although, considering where the state of our country is right now, assuming we're talking about the United States, with all the guns and everything, it's become normal. Anyway, where was I? Wit was very close to the edge, and completely insane is not normal either. What could we bribe anyone with? Gruel? Mice droppings? Beauty tips from that freaky matron? Judge Unger's face flushed with, what? Oh. Flushed almost purple with fury. There we go. I skipped like 3 words ahead. You don't ask the questions, pretty boy, he said, spewing wrath the way Italian fountains spurt water. You answer the questions. Now, for the last time, who was it? I know it wasn't the matron. She's my beloved sister. There's a shocker, I thought wearily, and made a mental note to not make any more matron jokes today. And, he continued, if you say another word against her, I will hold you in contempt of court, the penalty for which I will make all the rest of this look like kindergarten. You're a lowly, miserable cockroach, I thought. Anyway. Meanwhile, Wit retorted, and I'm sorry, maybe your little lackey's test machines weren't working properly that day. Shut up, screamed the judge. You obviously did something to the testing apparatuses. Used your wizardry on them. You fixed the results. Roach, you're a roach, I shouted in my head. If only I could turn Judge Unger into a roach, I thought. I'm a witch, right? Why can't I do this? Why? 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 Turn into a roach, I murmured silently. Turn into a roach. My brain began to ache with the effort, which is cast spells. I didn't know any spells. I remembered only a few rhymes from when I was a kid. Did I know any rhymes about roaches? The only chanty thingy I could think of was flies in the kitchen, Lossie and Mossy, flies in the night, Lossie May, flies on the river, Lossie Mossy, flies at first light, Lossie May. I don't know. And who knew what the heck that meant? I have no idea. Anyway, the judge was still screaming at Wit, and Wit's face was stiff. He was trying so hard not to lose his temper. A sister recognizes the signs. Suddenly, a loud buzzing distracted me, and I looked away from Wit to the air above me. Could it be possible? The sound became louder, and then one of the guards said, "What the? Hey, oh, see, I'm a good Christian boy, so I'm not gonna say, well, you know what I mean. I don't like to say the Lord's name in vain or without reason. So we're just gonna skip that. I'm gonna say, like, good grief, good heavens, no, and then continue. The courtroom was suddenly full of enormous biting horseflies. What's funny is I love all kinds of reptiles, but I can't deal with insects. There was a grasshopper. It jumped up onto my shoulder, and I wigged out. Interesting choice of words. I remember it was when I was in band in middle school, and I was just freaking out, and I was waving the trombone case, trying to hit it without hitting me in the face. Anyway, I'd brought on a plague. Oh, and when I was working at Albertsons the first time, there was a security guard there. Oh, I say security guard. He was a police officer. The store was shutting down, and he found out that I was afraid of crickets and grasshoppers, and so he found one outside and brought it in, and then he acted like he was gonna show me something, but I could see it in his eyes, and I immediately ran. And then the one girl that worked at customer service asked, what was that about? And he showed her, and the cricket jumped at her, and it was funny that it happened to someone else and not me, because I would know. Chapter 41, Wisty, 118. Horseflies. They were dive bombing everywhere. Everywhere I looked, crazed rogues intent on sucking our blood. I had created them. Total oops. If someone had tossed a sack full of stink bombs and some M80s in the courtroom right then, it couldn't have caused a bigger commotion. Tough guy guards were frantically waving their arms over their heads and screaming like little boys who'd stumbled into a hornet's nest. Not gonna lie. And Judge Unger's jaw dropped in stunned horror. He quickly shut it when several humongous flies attempted to come across missions down his throat. What? Attempted? Okay, yeah. There was no two there. Whit and I ducked under a table. "What's going on?" he said. "Did you, I began guiltily. Sort of. Maybe. Yes." "Wisty, what did you do?" Whit whispered against my ear. "I don't know exactly what I did," I answered. "There was a song about flies, and flies on the river, and lossy. The buzzing sound quieted suddenly. "That's it?" I thought. "That's the whole plague?" Yeah, one more. Chapter 42, Wisty, 120. I peered out from beneath the table and saw the visitor whirling this way and that, helplessly swatting at the air with his stick-like arms. Judge Unger was peeking out from beneath his tent of robes, his eyes the size of baseballs. And then... "Oh, no!" one of the guards screamed. "Heavens, no!" yelled another. "This is worse. Much worse." I couldn't believe what I saw now. All the flies were gone, but stuck to everybody's arms and faces, to any bare skin at all, were small, dark splotches that moved. "Oh man," Whit breathed. "The flies all turned into leeches." No. Anyway. "I didn't say anything about leeches," I said in a defensive whisper. "Apparently those nasty little suckers were elastic as all get out." One guard tried to pull a bug off his lip, and it stretched and stretched until it broke in a disgusting yellowish mess. More leeches clung to the walls, desks, and chairs, thousands of them moving around like giant blood-seeking clingworms. Wouldn't that be what they are? Some were dropping from the ceiling. "This is probably the most repulsive thing I've ever seen," Whit said. "Even given what we've been through at the hospital, I kind of like it." Hey, I said, in case you haven't noticed, they don't seem to be crawling all over us. Then a booming voice took over the courtroom. Stop. Stop this kindergarten nonsense. No more flies, no more leeches, no more uncivil disturbances of any kind. Suddenly I felt weak in the knees, numb, paralyzed actually. I remembered the feeling. How could I forget? He was there. He'd just appeared, and he'd already ruined everything. The stuffy decorum, the new order, the boring sameness. It was all back in place. I am the one who is the one, just in case you forgot or possibly repressed the memory. He strode forward until he was right on top of Whit and me. I have been observing you, here in the court, back at the hospital. You see, young'uns, I am everywhere, and obviously I'm all-powerful, and you are not. He looked at Whit and actually gave a wink. I can't even shut your sister up. So who can doubt my power? Well, that's an interesting way to go about it, but he has a point. Now, there will be more tests, until we can find the answer I'm looking for, until we solve the puzzle of the All-Goods. I want to know about their power. Anti-gravity, healing, immortality, physical transformation, telekinesis. Take the prisoners back to the hospital and no more Mr. Nice Guy tactics. Double their workload, double the tests, double the discomfort. I want answers. Finally, his oneness bent toward me, stopping just inches from my chin. Which area? What? Is there anything you would like to say? Anything at all? Perhaps you're offended by the phrase kindergarten nonsense, which I used to describe your paltry tricks here today. Well, you know the famous saying, of course you do. Tricks are for kids. Anyway, get them both out of my sight. And then, I swear this is true, it was like a Category 5 hurricane was in that courtroom, and then the one who is the one was gone. With the wind? That's kind of funny. Anyway, well, that was fun. It's good to be back. I had a good time with the both of them. I'm going to start uploading these and then probably upload those others. It's been a long time. I've missed this. I really have. Anyway, until next time. Goodbye, everybody. Also, I did a few things to the camera. Let me know what you think.